I remember when we first came over to the States, my parents were trying to learn English, so it was hard for me to keep my Spanish because I was learning English. And then my grandma came over and she was like, "No, mijo, you must learn Spanish. No, no, no." And so thankfully I retained my Spanish, and it's helped me open up so many doors that it's unbelievable. You know, it's unbelievable. The number one thing truly that I am trying to do with my mortgage, influence is show the Hispanic community around here that they can purchase a home and how to purchase a home, because a lot of them are very scared because they don't know the process. They don't trust. Imagine trying to purchase a home with somebody who speaks Russian. That would be crazy, right?
Yeah.
So imagine a Spanish speaker trying to purchase a home in English, right? It's really tough, really, really tough.
What's up, guys? Welcome into another episode of the Cutting Up Podcast. Today we have loan officer, mortgage guru, Christian Penna in studio today. How we doing?
I'm great, man. Thank you so much for asking.
Doing good.
I love
Excited?
Being here. Yeah, dude.
Let's talk about the haircut, and then let's get to chatting, my man.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it. It's the first time I've ever cut your hair.
Yep.
So I want to clean up the sides, not go too short, but get it pretty short there. Leave a little bit of a shelf, trim up the top, just make sure it can still kind of comb over there.
Yeah, man.
Awesome, my man. Awesome. So how are we doing today?
Good, man. Good. I had a really good weekend filled with 4th of July festivities.
Yeah.
So, it was pretty good. My company did a really cool party at Lake Norris Foundation Mortgage. So they did a really good party and it was awesome, man.
Nice. Big plans for the 4th? Actually, the 4th?
Right now, as it stands, no plans for the 4th, man. I kind of got it all out of the way this weekend. So it'll be a boring 4th.
Nice. So I want to talk about your story and how you kind of got into this world, because I don't personally know it. But first off, I want to ask some questions about kind of the landscape of what the real estate market is. Our buddies, Corey King, Justin Myers, we've had both of them on the podcast already.
Great.
And they've talked about it from a real estate point of view. Great dudes, most definitely. Yeah. They've talked about the market and kind of, coming off of COVID and everything like that. But I want to talk about it from your point of view, your perspective, because it is a little bit of a different angle being a loan officer. How have you kind of shifted? Because you're coming off of what was last year, which was a very busy year from what I understand. Money's flowing, things are doing great. And now this year, it's completely different, right? Tables have completely turned.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that transition and how you're kind of gathering yourself from 2 completely different years.
Sure. So it's actually been an incredible journey. So I started my mortgage business, mortgage adventure, I guess, about 4 years ago. I graduated college, and right out the gate, I went to Mortgage Investors Group, fantastic company as well. They treated me really well there. They kind of taught me all the ropes. And I did that for about 2 years, just kind of learning how to take an application, how to deal with customers and stuff like that. And then after that, I wanted to become my own loan officer. So I went off to a different company that kind of didn't really work out for me. It was called SunWest Mortgage Company, and that was just a personal reason there. Great company to deal with as well. And in between that company, I only went there for about 2 or 3 months, so it wasn't too long. In between there, though, I had somebody from Mortgage Investors Group that went to a different company reach out to me and was like, "Hey, you should give this company a try." So I met with Nick Galbraith. He's the owner of Foundation Mortgage. And he gave me the job because I am a Spanish-speaking individual. So I was actually born in Venezuela. Parents moved here when I was about 3, and grew up here in Seymour, Tennessee, if you know where that is, middle of nowhere place. And then moved here to Knoxville to finish my college education at UT. Going back to mortgages, though, I mean, last year, just like you said, was an incredible time, right? Everybody was we didn't really have to search for business. It kind of came our way, right? Because everybody was enjoying those low 2%, 3% interest rates. Unfortunately, those don't exist anymore. But now we're looking at a little bit tougher industry, right? A lot of people are having to look for business again. A lot of people are having to switch up their kind of lending methods, right? Because last year and the year before that, it was really just conventional FHA and USDA financing, right? Government style loans, because it was really easy to get one. But now we're looking at a lot more investors coming into the market as well, taking advantage of some of these, not necessarily interest rates, but the cash flow that can happen with some of these houses, right? For instance, I just closed a deal that I did with some. It was pretty creative financing. I mean, it's a deal that happened with no income, so we didn't have to look at the person's income. We just looked at if the house's rent covered the mortgage, and if it does, then as long as you have a 20% down payment, you can purchase that house. So that's a really, really incredible option for investors. I talked to it a little bit with, like, we talked about Justin and them over there at Grid. And you just have to be a little more creative, right? You have to look at new guidelines. You have to talk with new subjects and stuff like that. And it's been really fun. I mean, I thought I'd learned everything I could, you know what I mean? But I've been learning new things all day, every day. So I'm opening up my mind to no longer think I know it all. I'll tell you what.
That is awesome, man. That's so cool to hear. Just you gotta stay flexible. You gotta you can't get caught up in your ways. We've talked about that with so many different guests in their industries, but it just seems to be something that no matter, it's industry proof. No matter what industry it is, you have to be willing to be flexible. If you stay one way your whole life or your whole career, eventually it's going to run out. You know what I mean? Right. And so you can either just soak it up and then when the time comes, move on to something else, or you can learn to be flexible, learn to not be stubborn. And then, you never know what the future can hold. So you brought up interest rates. They were down. What was, 2 or 3%, you said? What is it currently sitting at right now?
Right now, it depends on the type of loan. We can go as low as a 5% interest rate on a specific product. So generic interest rates are looking somewhere in the 6 to 7s.
Okay.
If you're an investor, you're looking somewhere in the 7 to 9s. So it's a pretty drastic change from it. I think we're reaching like 10-year highs at some point. And
wow.
Yeah, but that was kind of at the beginning of the end of the COVID era, right? Mm-hmm. Once that's ended, we shot up, skyrocketed to about 8 or 9% for a regular purchase. So investors were kind of out of the game for a little bit. And now that we're coming back down to stabilized interest rate, I would say investors and home buyers, all are having an easier time purchasing a home. It's not easy to purchase a home, but an easier time than 11% interest rate.
I did want you to give some advice for people. Me and Dalton were just chatting it up here. He's in the market. He's looking for a home right now. But I wanted you to give some advice for maybe first-time home buyers or really anybody that's searching the market right now in that space and looking to do something, whether it is just buying a home for themselves or investing. What are some advice from your point of view that people can do to give them the best chance to get the lowest interest rate or to get approved?
Sure. So I'm gonna look you right in the eye on this one. Okay. Renting is 100% interest rate. Okay. I'll tell you that right now. So if you're ever on the cusp of, should I purchase a home because 9, 10, 11% interest rate is really high? Yes. Yes, you should, because renting is 100% interest rate, right? You're putting money in somebody else's pocket. So if you're looking to purchase a home, just talk to a loan officer. It doesn't have to be me. I'd love that. Hello. But it doesn't have to be me. You can talk to any singular loan officer. We don't bite. Truly, we don't. We're here to help you as much as we can. We'll give you as much advice as we can. And one of the biggest things that we like to do, I specifically like to do with my first-time home buyers, is look at your credit, right? Because your credit is really, really, really important. And some people don't have the best credit. Some people have incredible credit. It's a mixed bag, right? So come talk to a loan officer. We can help you out if you're not ready. And if you are ready, we can get you connected to a real estate agent who can start helping you look for homes, okay? My biggest advice as well for getting ready to purchase a home is if you have a car, okay? Car payments are the #1 biggest factor, other than student loans, are the #1 biggest factor most people can't buy a home, okay? Because if you're making, let's say, an average salary, income of around $2 to $3 grand a month, you're looking at a $400, $500, $600 car payment, right? That's looking to be about, a quarter or a third of your income, right? So that kind of knocks you down, especially if you have, $1,200, $1,300 mortgage payment, and then you have a pretty high car payment, then that's going to knock you out to be able to purchase a lot of stuff. So if you want to get the newest and bestest car, I would suggest getting a home first and car second. That's my biggest advice. Home first, car second.
That's awesome, dude. You nailed that. It's almost like you do that for a living.
It's almost like I do it for a living.
No, but I love them because the two things that you said there, I feel like are the biggest reasons, I don't want to say excuses, but the biggest reasons that I hear every day from my clients on why they didn't buy a home. You know what I mean? It's A, the interest rates are so high, I'm just going to wait it out. And B, I have low credit, or I haven't built up enough credit. And so those are the two things. I'm sure those are probably the most common things you hear too in the industry, right?
Right. And that was a great point. Not enough credit is never a problem. Okay. There are numerous products that have, some people can do a no score credit. I mean, you have plenty of different products for different types of credit availabilities. If one lender says no, trust me, there's 50 other lenders that might say yes. So don't ever get discouraged if you're trying to purchase a home and then one lender says no. Okay. I have turned around many borrowers who have gotten a no from another lender. I came around and I said, yes, I can do it, because as a broker that I am, I have an array of 40 different lenders that you can choose from. So you definitely, if somebody says no, somebody else can say yes.
That's awesome, man. So at what point did, because you said you went to UT, right? What did you study? Yeah,
so great question. Actually, I was studying music education. That was my first thing. Yeah, I've done band my whole life. I was a super nerd back in high school. I'm still a super nerd today, but I'm a little less of the musicality of it all. But I wanted to be a band director my whole life growing up, and I noticed, unfortunately, there was no money there. Right? So I was like, well, my mom's a real estate agent. She can definitely help me out with, pushing some initial business my way. And now she owns her own brokerage, Castillo Realty. And she still helps me out immensely throughout a lot of transactions. A lot of my business comes from her end as well, and other realtor partners. But that's kind of how I got from music education to mortgage business, was because of my mom. So
that you knew exactly where I was going with that question. That's where I was leading. At what point did you decide this was something you wanted to do, and what got you into it? But
funny enough, it was my senior year of college. I was very close to graduating, and I decided to, instead of doing a music education degree, I just ended up with music and world culture, graduated with that, and went into real estate, I guess mortgage business. What about you, man? How long did you know you wanted to cut hair?
Well, I've been doing it since I was in high school. I tell everybody whenever they ask, I say my whole life, because my pops was a barber. And so he had his barber shop. And so I grew up in it, man. I picked it up seriously in high school, just kind of cutting friends and whatnot in the locker room and in the garage of our house. And then a couple of years just trying a couple other things, and then realizing, like, you know what, this is where my passion is. This is what I enjoy doing. And I already have the skill and the clientele, and it just seemed like a no-brainer to not pursue it further. And it was the best decision I made, man.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I always love to hear that. I always love to hear somebody who's found their niche, you know what I mean? Because it's so hard for a lot of us. Everybody out there is looking for what to do, and some people feel so lost, but you just got to try new things, man. You never know where you're going to land,
I did want you to talk about the company that you're with now and promote it a little bit. What's the name of the company you're with?
Man, I can talk about these guys all day, dude. Okay. So I work with Foundation Mortgage Company, LLC, right?
Okay.
So they're, I'm pretty sure Foundation's been in the business for closer to 9 years now. They were a small company to begin with, and now I think we're looking at around 40 or 50 employees altogether, and it's just growing every single day, man. I'm so proud to be part of a company like this. I've never found, everybody always embodies, we're a family or whatever, this, that. And truthfully, man, as far as this company, I really do feel that way. I mean, I had a pretty rough time, I'd say about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and everybody in the company reached out to me. He was like, hey man, are you good? Are you all right? What can I do for you? How can I help you? And everybody was just there to help me with everything that they possibly could. And I really do love those guys. Like I said, we're a brokerage. So we do offer some of the best products, interest rates, anything you can really think of. Foundation Mortgage can help you out. We have investment products. We have, we're not really too big in the commercial space, but we can, if it's a necessity. Our purchases and refinances are some of the best when it comes to interest rates as well. And I mean, one of the best things that we have so far is, we partnered up with ORNL to open up their product line. Mm-hmm. And we have, most credit unions have the best interest rates and lending products because they can just portfolio their products, right? They keep it in-house, they service it in-house, which means they just take care of everything on their end, right? They keep it all right in-house. So they've partnered with us to kind of be a conduit towards them because I think I know they're trying to expand their market right now. And if they show enough interest in enough different counties, then they can expand their product line. So they've given us the availability to give our customers like a 5% interest rate, like I talked about before, compared to an average 6 to 7% interest rate on the market. It's what's called a 7-1 ARM, and I'm going to get a little technical here, so bear with me. An ARM is an adjustable rate mortgage. So that means that you'll have an adjusting interest rate, but the numbers at the beginning of it are how long it'll stay the same interest rate, and after that, how long it'll change after. So a 7-1 ARM means that for 7 years, you'll be having the same interest rate, and every year after that 7th year is when your interest rate will adjust. Adjustable rate mortgages are weird, but they can be really, really, really great for somebody who's not deciding to stay in a home for a very long time, right? So on average, most people live in their homes 5 to 7 years. That average is going up a little bit now just because of the interest rates where they are, right? People are trying to stay in their homes with that 2 to 3% interest rate. But it's always a good option for somebody who's just like, hey, I want to get into a lower interest rate and then kind of play the dice, if you will, with that adjusting interest rate. It can be a little scary sometimes, but truly, if you have a good loan officer who's taking care of you, paying attention to the market, you'll be fully equipped for success, truthfully. So that's one of the coolest things that Foundation Mortgage has right now. And just our processing is incredible. Our process from open to close of a loan is really, really smooth. We have some great loan officers there in-house, and we always have an incredible team. Like, for instance, one of my coworkers is one of my best friends, and he sits right next to me. And anytime I have any sort of issue, I'm like, hey man, can you help me out here? Do you know how to do any of this? and he always has an answer to everything, man. That guy is an absolute genius in the mortgage business, and I'm so proud to be working next to that guy.
Crucial, isn't it? Having a good team around you, man. That's our slogan on our shop there. Iron sharpens iron, but
that's right.
That's the goal, man. You put other people around you that can push you, and just being near people that are good and really passionate is really the main key, but pushes you to be so much better and just, churns out a overall better product in general, man. So is the company just a local company here in Knoxville, or is it nationwide, or kind of this area of the country? Or
yeah, great question. So right now we have employees in Nashville, we have employees here in Knoxville, and we're looking to expand towards Miami, not necessarily Miami, but Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're licensed in quite a few states though around the country. I know we're licensed in about 13, 14 states.
Wow.
So we can do loans in quite a few places, and truly a license flows with the loan officer as well. So if a loan officer wants to do business, let's say in California, all you have to do is just get a California license. You make sure your company is licensed with California as well, and you can do lending there. So
you specifically, are you just licensed in Tennessee, or do you have a couple other states you do work with as well?
Yeah, right now I'm licensed in Florida and Tennessee. So I just closed a loan for somebody that lives in Florida. They were purchasing here, but they were in Florida, and that was a really cool transaction to do. For somebody so far away to be able to, make that a smooth process was tough, but it was done. So
I'm going to ask you to do something that's a little bit impossible, but put your forecast goggles on here and kind of tell me where you think, in your opinion, the market is headed. As far as interest rates go and things like that, what do you forecast toward the end of this year going into 2024 to look like?
Sure. Great question. So legally, I'm not a finance. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. How do I see the market going? I mean, I think right now, with jobless claims that came out about a week ago, we're looking at some possible higher interest rates. Just simply because, unemployment helps, or doesn't help, but unemployment affects interest rates quite heavily as well. Because investors kind of, get skittish when there's not that many people employed in the business, and, they don't want to invest necessarily where they want to invest. Mortgage bonds are also a huge, huge factor in interest rates. I see the interest going up a little bit before we come back down to a stabilized market. I think probably around Q3 and 4, we're going to look at a more stabilized market. probably somewhere around the 5 to 6% interest rates. But again, that's just a prediction, and I have no clue if that's true or not.
We won't hold you to it, I promise.
But from the research I've done and from what I've seen and heard from other employees as well, right now we might be looking at an 8% interest rate coming down into a 7%, near the end of the year, stabilizing into a 5-6% interest rate. So
you said your family, you originally from Venezuela?
That is correct. Yep.
It's awesome. And do you get to go back and visit ever? Or?
Unfortunately, I've not gone just because of the political and financial, economic situation going on down there. That place is unfortunately quite ruined.
See, I'm terrible with world geography and world politics. So it's pretty bad over there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the last 2 presidents that took over, they've become dictators now. And they've just kind of been running it to the ground. And I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of cartel stuff coming from Colombia into Venezuela, trafficking drugs out of there into the States, and everywhere else as well. So that's kind of like the biggest reason. Venezuela used to be such an incredibly beautiful country full of tourism as well, because we have Angel Falls down there, which is I think the world's tallest waterfall. So that was a pretty big attraction down there. I was specifically born on an island called Margarita, so I know how to drink. But yeah, I was born on that tiny island. I mean, maybe a population of like maybe 100,000 people, something like that. Pretty small.
Wow.
And then, so I thankfully retained my Spanish, thank God. I remember when we first came over to the States, my parents were trying to learn English, so it was hard for me to keep my Spanish because I was learning English. And then my grandma came over and she was like, "No, mijo, you must learn Spanish. No." And so thankfully I retained my Spanish, and it's helped me open up so many doors that it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The number one thing truly that I am trying to do with my mortgage, influence is show the Hispanic community around here that they can purchase a home and how to purchase a home, because a lot of them are very scared because they don't know the process. They don't trust. Imagine trying to purchase a home with somebody who speaks Russian. That would be crazy, right?
Yeah.
So imagine a Spanish speaker trying to purchase a home in English, right? It's really tough, really tough. And I've been able to conduit. I've been a conduit to help a lot of people. Most of my business, I think like 99% of my business is Spanish speaking borrowers. So I've helped that thought, hey, I can't purchase a home. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. And, here's the way.
That's awesome. It truly is an asset, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it truly is, man. Unfortunately, my grandma and my parents tried to get us to learn Spanish, and I just refused because I just continued to tell them that I would never need it and it would never matter. And now here I am. And I wish desperately that I would have listened and taken it a little more seriously, because there are many people that still come into the shop here and, either don't speak English or speak very little English. And it's very tough to communicate what kind of haircut outside of just showing me a picture,
Right.
So that is something that I still tell myself I'm going to make myself learn at some point, just probably when I get a little less busy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a good excuse. I don't know.
What's your nationality? Like, what's your background?
Mexican.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I have quite a big hit with Mexican culture because I worked in Mexican restaurants for 5-6 years.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. And I loved it, man. I was a server. I was in the kitchen. I was a dishwasher. I mean, you name it. I did it all. And I had some fantastic relationships I've built over the years. So I worked at Cancun on Chapman Highway. I worked there for about 4 years. Then I went and worked at this restaurant called Polancho's in Seymour, and the one here in West Knoxville as well. I worked at both locations. I worked there for about a year. And right now I side job not a host, but at Cheddar's on Kingston Pike. And they have a very, very Hispanic kitchen, and I love everybody there, man. They have such a good working kitchen back there. And a lot of the wait staff is actually Hispanic as well. It's very, very surprising to see that. But I've been able to go back to speaking Spanish with my coworkers, and I love that. I love that.
Oh, man. Were you ready to see what this haircut looks like?
Oh, dude, I'm so excited.
Big reveal, right?
Yes, dude, yes. So I'm going to do this right here. Huh?
Here we go, my man.
Oh, look at that.
Tell me what you think, my man. So I don't know if you can see the back there. Went ahead and tapered it off.
Nice.
Kind of blended it out on that back.
Wow, that looks so good. Dude, that looks so good. Holy wow.
Like that right there?
Yeah,
Taper the sideburns off just a little bit.
Yeah.
And just like the two on the sides.
I love that.
It's like good length on top.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll pay you for that reaction.
Oh, man. You don't even have to, man. That was
Awesome. Well, Christian, dude,
wow.
I appreciate you coming on here, my man, and chatting it up with us, telling us a little bit about your story. Go ahead and tell the people where they can find you. If someone's interested in reaching out to you, whether it's for advice or to talk about potentially doing some work together, how can they reach out? Where can they find you?
Yeah, man. So I have a pretty big Facebook presence. Facebook and Instagram are my two biggest platforms. On Instagram, I actually post more workout videos than anything else. I love to go to the gym, and I recently picked that up about 7 months ago now. But if you want to if you want to talk more serious business, go hit up my Facebook, just Christian Penna, Penna. And you can find my Instagram, Christian Penna Mortgage. Send me a DM and I'll help you out in whatever way I can.
Awesome, my man. Guys, thanks for watching, sharing, subscribing, and we will see you guys next episode. Have a good day. Peace out.